Ambassador Vladimir Chizov is Russia's envoy to the European Union, and he joins me now from Brussels. Ambassador, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, and good evening.
Good evening to you. We have a long delay, so I'm going to barrel ahead. What is the plan as you know it? What is the plan that your foreign minister has already presented to Secretary Kerry and that they're going to go over tomorrow in person?
Well, the plan has been outlined not only to Secretary Kerry but to the international community and made public. It envisages placing the chemical weapons stockpile of Syria under international supervision and also addressing the issue of accession of the Syrian Arab Republic to the Convention on Banning Chemical Weapons, which it has not been a party to until now.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you the actual details.
So the idea is to... Yeah.
Just quickly, part of what has been said publicly is that not only will these weapons be declared, be shown to Russia and other states at the United Nations, but also that they will be transferred to international control. Many thought that that would be transferring them out in some way to destroy eventually this chemical stockpile. But a cabinet minister in Damascus has told the Associated Press that there's no talk of transferring out these weapons, only to put them under international control. What does Russia understand? Aren't these meant to be, you know, gotten rid of?
Well, you see, the ultimate aim is to have these weapons destroyed. Where exactly that will be taking place is a secondary issue. But the initial plan is, of course, to place the existing stockpiles under international supervision in the territory of Syria.
Now, what do you think when it comes to doing that and, in fact, eventually destroying them? Is that even possible in any kind of reasonable time frame, given that there is a war going on? What is going to be asked, therefore, of the Assad government, of the opposition, presumably, in terms of creating a space to actually carry out this work by the inspectors? I mean, does a ceasefire have to be put in place? What's necessary?
Well, I don't think anybody in the world would imagine that this would be an easy task to do. But it takes resolve, political will, and, of course, agreement by all parties concerned. Actually, what I am personally worrying about is what the opposition forces might do in this situation.
Ambassador, you know, a lot of talk has gone on around how on earth did this whole plan, this diplomatic initiative, come into the open to begin with? Was it really just an off-the-cuff remark by Secretary Kerry that then Sergei Lavrov jumped on and everybody else jumped on board? Or has this been something that has been discussed between the principals for a long time? Can you tell me about the genesis of what they hope to be a successful diplomatic initiative in this regard?
Well, I think I should first refer to a statement by Minister Lavrov, who said that the plan stems out of contacts that had been held between the Russian Federation and the United States at different levels and in different quarters, I would say. So, you know, it's not an issue of claiming fatherhood, as some third countries are doing at the moment. The popular saying is that success has many fathers, but failure is always an orphan. So we would like to share the fatherhood with anybody who is interested, provided it is a success.
Well, that's very generous, and of course, provided it is a success. But let me ask you this. Success, then, in this regard, must surely be due to the credible threat of U.S. military force. I mean, you're not going to tell me that this all happened just because suddenly everybody got lovey-dovey about a diplomatic initiative. This must have been because of the threat of military force on the table.
Well, anybody can have one's own view on this, but I can only repeat my previous remark on this.
Okay. Do you therefore think what many skeptics in the United States believe, that in fact President Putin and the Russian government is coming to the rescue of President Assad, that this in fact would involve him in the future diplomatic resolution of this issue, this chemical weapons issue, and that therefore he's going nowhere?
Actually, many people in my own country and here in the European Union think that President Putin and Minister Lavrov are actually coming to the rescue of President Obama, who was facing a possible defeat in the US Congress. So it's not an issue of who is rescuing whom, but it's an issue to rescue a political settlement, which in the case of military strikes would have become hardly possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, that actually was going to be my next question. You answered it, you previewed it, and guess what I was going to ask you about that rescue mission. But do you strongly, or do you really believe that this has a chance of success?
It's called telepathy. Telepathy.
Yeah. All right. Use your telepathic powers to tell me whether you think this is really going somewhere, or is it a stalling and delaying tactic?
I'm certainly convinced that there is a chance of progress along the track of political settlement. It would have been much more difficult had this opportunity not appeared.
Ambassador Chizov, thank you so much for joining me from Brussels.